What if I told you there's a script, yes, a real one, about a powerful political leader that somehow pulls together Al Pacino, Johnny Depp, and this mysterious guy named Riccardo? Sounds made up, right? Like something someone would pitch in a wild brainstorming session in Hollywood at 2 in the morning after too much coffee. But no, it's real. And if you think about it, this might just be one of the strangest, most fascinating crossovers we've seen in a long time. Because seriously, when have you ever heard those three names in the same breath? Pacino, Depp, and Riccardo? I mean, sure, Pacino and Depp have been part of legendary film projects. But throw in a story about Narendra Modi, a real, living, controversial, and globally recognized figure, and suddenly, you've got something that doesn't just sound dramatic, it sounds explosive. Now, I get it. You're probably asking the same question I did at first. What do politics and guys like Pacino or Depp even have in common? Aren't they in completely different lanes? One deals with government and real-world decisions, the other with fiction and characters and award season. But here's the twist, when a story hits that rare sweet spot, where power meets humanity, where ambition meets doubt, where influence meets isolation, that's when those two worlds collide. That's when actors start seeing roles that mean more than just a paycheck. They see a story that resonates. One that makes people feel something deep. That's what's happening here. So, let's slow it down. Let's really unpack what this Modi script actually is. Because once you see how the puzzle pieces fit, you'll understand why this project is turning heads not just in politics or entertainment, but both. Imagine for a second that you're handed a script. But it's not some plain, forgettable piece of paper with dry facts and timelines. No. It's sharp. It's provocative. It's emotional. It's the kind of script that doesn't just tell you what happened. It makes you sit back and go, whoa. I never thought of it like that. It focuses on Narendra Modi, not just as a prime minister, not just as a leader, but as a man. A complex, powerful, and possibly conflicted human being. It's not trying to praise or shame. It's trying to understand. And then it throws you deep into this world where the lines between right and wrong, strength and weakness, duty and ambition, are constantly shifting. So of course, when a script like this starts floating around, it catches the eye of people who live for nuance. People like Al Pacino. Al Pacino. Just saying his name out loud gives the whole thing a different weight, doesn't it? He's not just an actor. He's a symbol. A presence. When Pacino walks into a scene, the room changes. The energy shifts. You know something big is about to happen. And here he is, reportedly reading this script, seriously considering being part of it. That's not a small thing. Pacino doesn't just jump on any new project. These days, he's selective. He chooses roles that let him sink his teeth into something meaningful. And this story, about a man with global power, struggling with legacy and identity, that's right up his alley. Pacino has spent decades playing characters who are both powerful and broken. Think about it, Michael Corleone, Frank Slade, even Roy Cohn. These aren't straightforward roles. These are men living in the gray areas. Men who command respect but also carry a ton of emotional baggage. It's exactly that type of role this script seems to be offering. A character that forces us to question our assumptions. And just when you think that's the big surprise, boom, Johnny Depp's name pops up. That's right. Johnny Depp. A man whose entire career is built on bringing oddball, intense, and incredibly layered characters to life. Whether it's Captain Jack Sparrow, Edward Scissorhands, or Sweeney Todd, Depp thrives on characters who aren't what they seem. He loves playing outsiders, people who are misunderstood, or quietly dangerous. Now, he's not in talks to play Modi. That would be too obvious, right? Instead, rumor has it he might be circling a different role, someone within the story who acts like a lens for the audience. Maybe a journalist. Maybe a media executive. Maybe even a whistleblower-type figure who gets tangled up in the narrative. Imagine it, Depp playing a man on the edges of political power, trying to uncover the truth, or maybe twist it for his own benefit. Someone chaotic. Someone unpredictable. Someone with their own agenda. It's the kind of role Depp can totally own. He could take something like that and turn it into a performance you can't look away from. So now we've got Pacino, representing the weight and the legacy of leadership. We've got Depp, bringing in chaos and commentary. But then there's Riccardo. The name barely anyone knows. And yet, he might be the most important piece of all this. Riccardo is the wild card. The visionary. The one who put the story together in the first place. He's not famous in the Hollywood sense. You won't see his name flashing across billboards or trending on Twitter. But those who know him, they call him a creative genius. A bit eccentric. Definitely not afraid to take risks. What makes Riccardo different is the way he approaches storytelling. He doesn't just retell events. He takes reality and stretches it. Blurs the lines. Makes it more emotional, more surreal. Watching something he's created is like walking through a dream, but one based on truth. It stays with you. Some people say this is exactly the kind of storytelling we need right now. Not just the facts, but the feelings. What does it mean to lead a country? What does it cost a person, emotionally, mentally, spiritually? That's what Riccardo is asking with this script. And it's not just Modi's story he's telling. It's also ours. How we react to leaders. How we build them up. How we tear them down. How we project our own fears, hopes, and anger onto them. Now, here's the thing. This script isn't just your typical biopic. It's not Modi, the movie. It's more like a thought experiment. It takes real events, real people, but twists them just enough that it makes you pause. It's like The Social Network, where you know the story is inspired by real life, but the way it's told changes how you feel about everyone involved. There's symbolism. Layers. Echoes of other times and places. And yes, there are likely things that will make some people uncomfortable. But that's the point. It's meant to spark conversation. It's meant to make people see a figure like Modi in a different light, not as a caricature, but as a complex human being who's made difficult choices and lived with the consequences. Think about that for a moment. When was the last time you saw a film that did that? That challenged you to hold two truths at once? That someone could be both admired and criticized. That someone could lead millions and still feel alone. That someone could be seen as strong but carry deep fears. That's what this film might explore. And honestly, that's powerful stuff. But let's get back to the big three, Pacino, Depp, and Riccardo. Each one brings something different to this project. Pacino brings the fire. The soul. That slow burn that turns into an explosion when the moment demands it. He's the type of actor who can say more with a look than most can with a monologue. Depp brings mystery. You never quite know what he's going to do. But whatever it is, it's going to be interesting. He brings unpredictability, and that makes the story feel alive. And Riccardo? He brings the heart. The question mark. The voice whispering, what if? Now here's a fun behind-the-scenes tip that directors sometimes use. It's called casting mystery. It's when you deliberately keep things vague. You tease just enough about the cast to get people talking, guessing, speculating. But you don't confirm anything. That creates buzz. It makes people invest emotionally before they even see the trailer. That's what's happening here. No one knows who's actually playing who. And that's intentional. That mystery. It's part of the magic. And if you're the kind of person who loves to dig deeper into films, not just watching them, but really studying them, feeling the performances, understanding the craft, then you're in for something special here. Let's take a moment to dive into what makes these two actors, Al Pacino and Johnny Depp, so compelling in the roles we're referencing. Because when you take their performances apart and look at them closely, you start to realize why putting their energies together in a single project, especially one as emotionally and politically charged as Modi's script, could be nothing short of extraordinary. Let's start with Pacino in Scent of a Woman. If you haven't seen it, or if it's been a while, now is a great time to revisit it. It's a masterclass in controlled intensity. Pacino plays Frank Slade, a blind, retired army officer who's battling more than just his physical disability. He's angry. He's proud. He's in pain. But he hides that pain behind a tough, almost aggressive exterior. What's so fascinating is how Pacino never plays him as just one thing. He's not just gruff. He's not just depressed. He's a layered man, a person who once commanded authority and now feels forgotten. And the beauty is in the little details. Watch how Pacino moves. Even though the character is blind, there's a precision in the way he holds himself. The way he stands, the way he tilts his head, the way he listens, it's like he's still trying to control the room with presence alone. He commands space not through sight, but through energy. That's powerful. And listen to his voice. Pacino has one of those voices that can cut through silence like a knife. Sometimes he speaks in a low, almost growling tone. Then suddenly, he explodes with emotion. That sudden shift is never jarring, it feels natural because it's grounded in the character's inner world. The performance pulls you in because you can tell there's a storm inside him, even when he's quiet. Now imagine that kind of emotional precision being used to portray a world leader. A man constantly in the public eye. Someone who has to appear confident, even when he's uncertain. Someone who's praised by millions and criticized just as loudly. Someone who makes decisions that shape entire nations, yet lies awake at night wondering if he did the right thing. That's the kind of character Pacino was born to play. Someone who's strong on the outside, but constantly wrestling with what's going on inside. And now, switch gears and look at Johnny Depp in The Libertine. This isn't your classic Depp performance like Jack Sparrow or Edward Scissorhands. It's raw. Unfiltered. Messy. In The Libertine, Depp plays John Wilmot, the Earl of Rochester, a 17th-century poet and playwright who was brilliant, vulgar, self-destructive, and painfully human. It's not a likable character. He drinks too much, says too much, loves too recklessly, and burns too brightly. But he's also magnetic. Depp doesn't play Wilmot with charm in the traditional sense. Instead, he uses vulnerability as a weapon. You can see it in his eyes, this deep sadness, this constant struggle between brilliance and self-hate. He's someone who knows he's gifted, but hates himself for wasting that gift. And yet, he can't stop. He keeps spiraling. The physicality of Depp's performance is what really stands out. His posture, his expressions, even the way he slouches into a chair or grips a glass of wine, it all feels lived in. You believe this guy is running from something, maybe from everything. There's a desperation beneath the charisma, like he's trying to distract you from the wreckage he's made of his life. And now, imagine that kind of character in Modi's script. Imagine someone playing a journalist or a media figure who's obsessed with the truth, but maybe a little too obsessed. Someone who starts out thinking they're above it all, only to realize they're in way deeper than they thought. Someone who wants to uncover power, but gets seduced by it. Or maybe someone who's trying to take a stand, but is haunted by the fact that their voice might not be enough. That's where Depp's messy brilliance becomes a perfect fit. Because real life isn't clean. It's complicated, and sometimes the most broken people are the ones who see things the clearest. Now take a moment to picture this, a film that captures the tension of leadership, the cost of ambition, and the pull of public perception. You've got Pacino, channeling a character who stands tall in front of crowds but crumbles in private. A man who carries the burden of expectations, national, personal, generational. A man who's crafted an image so strong that even he's not sure where the real him ends and the image begins. Then you've got Depp, circling him like a storm. Not physically, maybe, but narratively. As a reporter. Or a media voice. Or even a former ally. Someone with a camera, or a pen, or a podcast mic watching. Commenting. Maybe even manipulating. Someone who sees through the cracks, but doesn't quite know what to do with what he sees. Maybe he wants to expose the truth. Maybe he just wants to be remembered. Maybe he's just tired of being ignored. That's where the emotional messiness comes in. That's where Depp can shine. And in the middle of it all, behind the curtain, you've got Riccardo. The director. The writer. The puppet master. The one who's crafted this entire emotional ecosystem. Someone who doesn't just want to tell you what happened. He wants you to feel the weight of it. To carry it with you after the credits roll. When you mash the controlled fire of Pacino with the unpredictable vulnerability of Depp, and place that inside a script that explores politics, identity, media, and legacy, you get something that doesn't fit neatly into any genre. It's not just a drama. Not just a biopic. Not just a thriller. It becomes an experience. A mirror, held up to the people we admire, fear, follow, and question. A story that forces us to reflect on how power shapes us, and how we, in turn, shape those in power. And that's what makes this project so exciting. It's not just about telling Modi's story. It's about exploring the emotional universe around a figure like him. And when you bring in actors who know how to embody emotional extremes, who can live in those quiet, dangerous, deeply human moments, you create something that could be unforgettable. Because in the end, it's not just about facts or timelines. It's about people. About how they feel, how they break, how they rise, and how they're remembered. That's the kind of story Pacino and Depp were made to tell. And with Riccardo shaping the vision, you know it's not going to be safe. It's going to take risks. It's going to make people uncomfortable. And it just might be exactly what we need. Can you see it? Can you feel it? That's what this movie might be. It's not about giving answers. It's about asking questions. Big ones. Like, what does leadership really look like behind closed doors? What kind of sacrifices do we expect our leaders to make? And what happens when a leader starts to question themselves? This script, this wild project called Modi's Script, is trying to get us to feel. To relate. To question. Not just Modi. But ourselves. Alright, now let's have some fun. If Al Pacino really were in this movie, what do you think he should play? Should he be the central figure? The shadow behind the scenes? A mentor? Or maybe even a narrator, someone who watches it all unfold but never intervenes? And what about you? If you could write a script like this, who would it be about? What story would you tell? Would it be dramatic? Political? Would it be something symbolic and strange? Or would you go full-on fantasy and just let your imagination run wild? Let me know in the comments. I genuinely want to know. I read as many as I can, and I love hearing different ideas. And hey, if you enjoyed this dive into real-world power colliding with Hollywood drama, you're gonna love our next video. It's all about 5 movies that somehow predicted real-world events before they happened. Like, seriously. You won't believe some of the stuff they got right. Before you go, do me a quick favor, give this video a like if it made you think. Or smile. Or even just go, huh, that's interesting. And if you want more content like this. Deep dives, creative storytelling, the kind of stuff that makes your brain light up, hit that subscribe button. Ring the bell. You know the drill. Because sometimes, the stories that feel the most unreal are the ones inspired by real life. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you in the next one.